Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be using the April 2020 card kit from Love from Lizi, and I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm going to use a picture frame I had in my stash and I'm going to decorate it. This is for one of my daughters for their birthday. I'm not saying who because their birthday hasn't happened yet, but that's the plan. So this little frame I had in my craft room and I thought, wouldn't this be lovely to decorate? I love the butterflies that came in the kit, as well as one of the butterfly papers. And you can see there where I have the stamps and the dies laid out on the table. I think stamping out one of the words and putting it inside here. Now whether I'll do it landscape or portrait, I wasn't sure there. But I think I'm going to do it landscape style and use the word totally beautiful inside and out, that stamp there. So I'm going to use this butterfly paper, and the papers that came in the kit are double-sided, but I love butterflies and my girls know I love butterflies and flowers and dragonflies, and so I just thought I'd take some of the ephemera pieces. There's two butterflies. I've put glossy accents down the middle, and what I've done is, using a bone folder, I've curved the wings on either side. So this will give a bit of depth and dimension to my two butterflies that I will stick on the outside of the picture frame. This is the other butterfly. So there are some stickers in the on the sticker sheet. I was thinking of using these flowers. I wasn't quite sure, but I don't for a finish. I'm just going to stick with the butterflies. So as I said, this is the sentiment I'm going to be using. The beautiful, totally beautiful inside and out. There are some fabulous sentiments on the stamp kit that came in the kit. Really, really lovely words. And this is how I keep my stamps and dies when I get the kit. I generally keep them together if I get stamps and dies. So here's the sticker sheet. You can see that there's loads of stickers on it. I like to use some of my liquid glue on the stickers as well to make sure that they stick down. That's all our bits and pieces. I'm going to speed it up now and go ahead and make the picture frame. So I've cut my pattern paper to size, and depending on the frame you're going to use will depend on the size you're going to cut. So there's no point really in me giving you dimensions for this, it's just to give you an idea. I've taken some of the peel-offs and I've put them down on the bottom of the pattern paper just for an accent. Now I'm going to take my stamp that came in the kit, and using my mini Misty I'm going to stamp that down. Now I could just stamp it down on this piece of paper, cut it to size and stick it on, but I wasn't sure whether I wanted to actually fussy cut around the sentiment itself, so that's why I've put it on this big piece of paper. And also why I'm stamping with the Misty is to make sure if I needed to give it a second stamp that it would stamp out well. So I'm going to fussy cut around the sentiment, and I'll show you just a little bit of me fussy cutting that out, because you don't need to watch me fussy cutting out the sentiment. But I just thought that it would aesthetically look better on the pattern paper in the frame. I'm going to take some foam tape and I'm going to pop up the sentiment, and I've taken some of the ribbon from the kit as well for a bow. So once I have all my foam tape, and I like to use the 3M foam tape, but you can use whatever works for you. That's what I have in my stash, and I'm going to use that to prop up my sentiment. So this is basically my layout. I'm going to, for a finish, take one of the butterflies. Now I'm using some anti-static powder on the back of the butterfly because I only want it to stick down where I want it to stick down. So by using the anti-static tool, I can then put some foam tape to prop up the wings and a little bit of glue through the body to stick the body down as well. And that way there isn't any sticky part of the sticker going to stick on my patterned paper. This is what I prefer to do. When I'm using a sticker and I'm going to use some foam tape with it, I always like to use my anti-static tool behind it first, take off any of the stick, and then put my foam tape where I want it. So I have my butterfly placed down there. It's just sitting on the peel off on the bottom right hand corner. Just make sure that my sentiment is nice and straight because I don't want it wonky in the frame. And then using my Sizzix hot glue gun, I'm going to stick down my bow, because for me, I feel this works the best and I don't want the bow becoming unstuck in the future. Even though the frame can be opened, I'm not going to seal the back of the frame, but I just feel that it's nice and secure. So I've put a little bit of the hot glue on the back of this pop-up part of my frame, just so that it holds the actual paper in place and I can center it over my sentiment and everything. So I have a little excess there. I'm going to trim that off, and that way then the whole thing will fit nicely into my frame. And voila, that's it. Just put my piece at the back that helps the frame to stand up. And now all I need to do is adhere my butterflies. So I did look at the ephemera flower pieces, but I know it's butterflies, but that's what I went with and I like the look of it. So I'm going to stick them down using, again, my Sizzix hot glue gun. You can use hot glue or liquid glue or double-sided tape, whatever you like. That's what I went for with these butterflies. And that's basically my picture frame done. I just thought it would be a different idea. I like to kind of, change it up a little bit. I do the 10 cards. Normally what I'll do is I'll do so many cards for the video, and then the rest I just make up a load and put in my stash. But I thought it'd be nice to do something different and use a picture frame I had in my stash. So I hope you like it. I have some photographs of the picture frame here, and I'll leave you with that, and then we'll move on to our first card. So now we're going to move on to our first card, and you'll need a piece of paper that measures 9 by 7, and this will give us a 5 by 7 card for a finish. I'm going to score this at 1 1/4, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, then I'm going to score at 6 1/4, 6 3/4, 7 1/4, and then 7 3/4. This card was inspired by Sam from Mixed Up Crafts, and I'll leave a link in the description down below for her tutorial on making one of these concertina cards. So I have all my score lines done there. I'm going to turn on the light there to the side of me to help you see a little bit better where my score lines are. Okay, so now we're going to look at all our pieces that we're going to use to embellish the front of the card, and I'm using mats and layers, and this yellow card was in the kit. So this piece measures 1 inch by 6 3/4, and you'll need 2 of those. And then I have some patterned paper to put on top, and that measures 3/4 of an inch wide by 6.5 inches long. And again, you'll need 2 of those, and I'm using some patterned paper from the kit. Then I'm going to use some mats and layers for the center panel. This piece measures 3 1/4 by 6 3/4, and then our patterned piece measures 3 by 6.5, and they'll go in the center of our card. This piece of card measures 2 by, let me see, it measures, 2 by 1.5, and then I have this ephemera piece that came in the kit, and it measures 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. So that's all the pieces. I have used a stamp from my stash which has the new home on it, because I thought this, using the ephemera piece with I am in my happy place, I thought this would make a nice new home card. So I'm going to speed things up and I'm going to assemble card. So I'm burnishing the score lines that we have put down, and I've started from the center panel on each side. So starting from the center panel, I'm working out to the left, and from the center panel working out to the right. You want a mountain, a valley, a mountain, and a valley fold. So it'll look like this when you have it all burnished, all those score lines burnished. So now I'm going to put my patterned papers down onto this lovely mustard colored cardstock, and then I'm going to put them on the outer parts of our card to the left and the right, and I'm using my Nuvo glue to put them down, but you can use whatever glue you have in your stash, whether it's liquid glue or tape runner or whatever. I like to use either the Nuvo glue or I like to use the Collal glue, and both of those are liquid glues. So now I have my center panel pieces here, and I'm going to stick those down. And in order to write your sentiment or your message, you can always do that on the center panel at the back of the card. And what I have done is, with all the cards I'm making here today, I'm not going to stamp the inside of them. I'm going to do that off screen, because you can use whatever you have in your stash or the sentiments that came in the stamp set that we got. But I'm going to use ones that I have in my stash, so you'll see in the pictures at the end of each card tutorial what stamps I have used and how I've stamped it inside. So you'll see from the end of this tutorial of this card what I've stamped on the inside. So I have a little die in my stash that cuts out these tiny little butterflies, and I have die cut out 3 from some of the scraps of patterned paper that I used in the kit, and I have stuck them on to the front of the card. I'm also going to take some of the sequins and I'm going to scatter those around the card, and I'm going to stick those down. I'll put 2 on each of the panels on the left and the right down towards the bottom, and then I'll put 3 up and around where the new home is. And once I have those glued down, what I'll do is I'll take some of my Glossy Accents and I'll fill each of the sequins. And I like to do this whenever I put sequins down. I kind of feel it anchors them more securely to the card, but not only that, it kind of gives them this glossy domed finish, and I just really like the look of that rather than this empty sequin. So that's the only reason I do it. You don't have to do it, but that's what I'll be doing. You can see here that I have a little bottle, and it's got a fine tip nozzle on the top of it. I got these a set of 3, and they're the ultra fine tip glue applicator bottles, and I just find it really good to put some of my Glossy Accents into that, and then I get a nice even fill into the sequins. I'm going to also use some of the Glossy Accents where all my little windows are on the ephemera piece, so that it'll give a shiny look to the windows. And again, the nozzle on this is really good because it gives such a fine amount of the Glossy Accents out. It's really fab. So that is basically it for this, our first card. And here's a couple of pictures of the card we've made. So now we're moving on to card number 2. And for this card, I'm going to use a card blank, which is scalloped edge, and it's a 5x7 card. I'm also taking a piece of patterned paper. This one has swans on the back, but I love that it has flowers on the front, and it measures 4.5 by 6.5, and it'll sit on the front of our card base. I have a scrap piece that's 1 inch wide and it's going to sit on the inside. And then I've die cut out 2 circles, one using patterned paper, and it's a 4-inch diameter die, and then the white piece of paper that I've die cut out using a 3-inch diameter die. I'm going to use the You're Nothing Short of Fabulous stamp, as well as the butterfly die that came in the kit, and I've die cut out 3 of those using some of the pattern paper from the kit. So let's go ahead now and assemble our card. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick down my patterned piece of paper to our card base. I'm using my liquid Collal glue. This gives a nice strong finish when you put down your paper. It gives a nice rigidity to the paper when it goes down, and it gives it a little extra time to wiggle it around so I can make sure that it's on nice and straight. I'm also going to make sure that the first large die cut circle is down and that the words on that are straight on the card, and then stamp down our sentiment, our fabulous sentiment. I'm going to pop up this die cut using some foam tape just to give a bit of dimension to the front of the card, and that'll be picked up as well by the butterflies. I'm not going to stick the wings down on the butterflies, just the body, you know, the central piece is all I'm going to stick down for the butterflies. So for that I'm going to use the Nuvo glue, but before I stick those down I'm going to curl the wings using a bone folder to do that. So there's one down just above our sentiment, and the second one down. I was going to put it over the patterned paper with the words, but I kind of felt it got a little bit lost, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to also add some sequins to our card. I'm going to use mostly gold sequins in the 2 sizes that they came in the kit. There's a kind of a medium and a large size, but I'm also going to use 2 of the medium fuchsia pink sequins on one of the butterflies, as well as the iridescent ones. And that's just to give a bit of dimension to the body on the on the butterflies that we've die cut out. So I'm going to adhere them down using, again, the Nuvo glue. And I'll put the 2 fuchsia medium-sized sequins onto this butterfly, and then I have the iridescent, it's kind of a creamy color on that butterfly, and then for the one over our sentiment I'm going to use the medium-sized gold sequins there. So then all we need to do is take our Glossy Accents and fill in our sequins. And that will finish that card, our second card. Here's some images of the card we've made. Now we're moving on to card number 3, which is again a 5x7 scalloped edged card. I've taken a piece of card. This is 2.5 by 5 3/4, and it's a 300 GSM white card. I want to die cut out some butterflies using the die that came in the kit, and I have die cut these out where I want them to kind of sit in relation to the card front, because I'm going to use some Distress Oxide, and this is picked raspberry, as well as a blending brush. So I'm going to blend on some of my oxide colour onto my card front, and then I'm going to pop the butterflies on over it. I fussy cut out a sentiment that says Totally Beautiful Inside and Out, and I'll put that, I'll put foam tape on that and put that on our card, and then some sequins. So that's basically going to be that card. So let's go ahead and speed up our assembly of the card. So I've got my stencil with my 3 butterflies cut out, and I'm going to place that on the card base, and then I'm going to use my blending brush to put on some of our Distress Oxide picked raspberry colour. And I'm not going to put this on too evenly. I want there to be, difference in colors on the butterflies. And then I'm going to take the blending brush and go around all the edges of my card. Once I've that done, then I can take my butterflies that I've die cut out, pop out all the little inside pieces, and then I'm going to stick them down on the card base. I'm going to fluff up the little wings so it'll give them some dimension. I'm going to use my liquid glue to stick down the bodies, but I won't stick down the wings. They'll be able to stick up, like I said, to give it some dimension. So I'm going to adhere the butterflies down over our stenciled Distress Oxide. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blending brush with the picked raspberry color that's left on the brush, and I'm going to go around the sentiment just to bring up that color that we've used. I'll put some foam tape on the back of the sentiment and then decide where I want to put it. Now sometimes people, you see them putting it over the middle of their card, but I didn't want to take away from the butterflies that I have on the card, so I've put this down towards the bottom right hand corner of my card base. Now I'm going to pick out some sequins, and I'm going to stick with the fuchsia pink colored ones and the creamy colored ones, and I'm going to place them around the card. And once I have the ones out that I want, I'm then going to stick them down using some Nuvo glue. Then I'll take my Glossy Accents and I'll fill in all my little sequins. I'm also going to put a dot of Glossy Accents beside each sequins, so it'll be like a little Nuvo drop in essence, but it'll just be a clear one. So that's what I'm going to do with that, and that will finish that card. And I'll leave you with some pictures of the card we've made. And on to card number 4. And I have all the pieces we're going to need here. I have 2 die cut butterflies, one in white card and one in pattern card, and it's the purple paper with butterflies on it. So you can see here I've got dimension with the 2 butterflies together, and I've put a small peel off to join the 2 together down the middle of the body. My sentiment is "You're utterly incredible." It's mounted on foam tape and it's got one of the peel-offs on it. I also have a card base here. This is a ready-made card base, and this one measures 5 by 7. I have some pattern paper, this lovely stripes, and this measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And it's got a nice pattern on the back, but I love the stripes. Next I have a die cut square, and this measures 3.5 by 3.5, and I just used one of the dies in my stash. Now it pulled up a little bit of the paper there with the washi tape when I had it stuck down, the die on it, to cut it out. That's okay, I'm going to be covering it up. And I'm covering it up with these scrap pieces of paper that I've used. So you can see I have one large piece here, and this piece measures 1.5 by 2 1/8. What I've done is I've cut it down the center, and then I fishtailed it first, and then I cut it down the center. This piece here measures 1.5 by 3 1/8, and I'm going to put that in between these 2 pieces. And then this piece of patterned paper measures 1 1/4 by 3.5. And that'll sit underneath those. So I'll have my patterned piece and then my 2 fishtail banners sitting on top, and they'll all go on top of my white die cut piece. I'll put my sentiment across that and stick down my butterfly, but for now what we're going to do is speed up the video and assemble our card. I'm going to use some liquid adhesive, and this will help me center my patterned paper onto my card base. Then I'm going to take my patterned piece of paper, which is the green one, measuring 1¼ by 3½, and I'm going to stick that down onto my white die cut piece. You can't even see where the washi tape tore it a little bit. Now I'm going to attach my fishtail banners together, and I'm using a bit of double-sided tape to do that because I want to make sure when I put them down they're centered on my die cut white piece of card there, so this will help. The liquid glue that I put on it will give it a little bit of wiggle room as well. I've got some 3M foam tape, and I'm going to put that on our panel so that that will be propped up. And I'm going to put it towards the top center of our card base. Lovely. Now with my butterflies, I debated where exactly I was going to put it, but for a finish I'm going to put it down on the bottom right hand side, but my sentiment is going to go across the center of our raised panel. So my butterfly is going to go down there. I'm going to stick the whole thing down using some liquid glue. So the pattern paper butterfly will be stuck down, but our white card butterfly, which is on top, that will be free floating. There we go. Just make sure that's stuck down nicely. Now I want to have like a little butterfly trail. So I've used my Nuvo glue to put some dots of glue down underneath the butterfly, and then I'm taking the really tiny it's the green colored sequins. It's really tiny with a hole in it, and I'm going to use those to make my little trail, my butterfly trail. I'm also going to put 3 sequins around our sentiment, so there'll be 2 just off our raised panel there on the top left, and then I'm going to put 1 just after the word incredible, and I'm going to use the green and pinks, 2 pinks and 1 green, and they pick up the colors in the striped paper. To finish it up, I'm going to take some of my Glossy Accents, fill in my sequins and my little butterfly trail, and that'll be that card done. And you'll be able to see in the photographs here inside I've put a strip of the patterned paper and another butterfly. So here we are, we're at card number 5, and I'm using a 5x7 scalloped edged ready-made card blank for this. I have a white piece of card, and this card measures 3 by 4 3/4. This is going to be our focal piece on our card. I have an X-cut corner punch in my stash, and I've used that to round off the corners of this piece. I've used some of the ephemera that came in the kit, and I have stuck that down. I fussy cut it out and stuck that down on my panel. There's also 2 hearts. They're stickers that came on the sticker sheet. I've used a stamp from my stash that says thanks for your thoughtfulness, and then I've underlined that using a peel off. That panel is going to sit on some patterned paper, and this piece of patterned paper measures 4 by 6, so we'll have a nice white frame around our card base. This is an offcut piece of patterned paper, and it's 3/4 of an inch wide by 4 inches long. I'm going to put some peel-offs on our patterned paper that's going to be on the front of our card base. So let's speed everything up and assemble our card. The first thing I'm going to do is take our little offcut piece here, and I'm going to stick that down towards the bottom of our card base inside. Once I've that done, I'm then going to take some peel-offs, and I'm going to put 1 across the top and 1 across the bottom. I'm going to come down about 1/2 inch from the top, and I'm going to try and make sure I get this straight. And boy, oh boy, did I struggle with this. I don't know why. I didn't have any problems anywhere else. I just did with doing it on this, but I did use my grid mat to help me make sure that I got it straight. Once I have those down, I'm then going to use some liquid adhesive to put this patterned paper panel onto my card base. And you can see I have a nice white frame the whole way going around that now. Once I've that done, I'm going to put my focal piece onto my card, and I'm going to try and center it between the two peel-offs. And once I have that down and I'm happy with it, I'll press down on the foam tape behind it. I've got some sequins here and I'm going to sprinkle some around the front of the card. I'm going to put some down towards the bottom right, some towards the middle left, and then one just after the thanks for your thoughtfulness sentiment. Once I have all my sequins in place, I'm then going to take my Glossy Accents and I'm going to fill all of the sequins. I'm also going to put some little dots of my Glossy Accents around where the sequins are, and I'm going to fill in around the flowers that's on the center piece with my Glossy Accents as well. I'm not going to fill in the whole of the flower. I'm just going to fill in where the flowers are highlighted and the leaves are highlighted and the center of them, etc. With that done, then I'm going to take a Spectrum Noir sparkle pen and I'm going to put some glitter on the two heart stickers there beside my sentiment. And that's that card finished. Here's some images of the card we've made. Card number 6, and this one is again a housewarming card. Now for this I'm going to use my embossing folder and it looks like a brick wall. I've taken this white piece of card and this one measures 5.5 by 3.5, and I've put the white piece of card inside my embossing folder, put it through my machine, and it comes out like this. Now on one side you get embossed and the other side is debossed. So I'm going to use this side. This is the debossed side, and that's going to be the side that'll be facing up. I have stamped New Home on a white piece of paper. The home I've cut out and put foam tape behind it, and the new I've fussy cut around. I have one of the ephemera house pieces, and I'm going to take some foam tape and I'm going to put some foam tape behind that so it'll raise it up off our walled panel. I have my sticker sheet and I'm thinking of using the little bird there, the little yellow one, but I'm not quite sure if I will for a finish, but I'm definitely going to use one of the house stickers on here as well. So here I have my 5x7 scalloped card base, and I have this panel here which measures 4.5 by 6.5, and this one has lovely the butterflies on it. So let's go ahead now and speed everything up and assemble our card. I'm going to take some liquid adhesive and put down my pattern paper onto my card base. And once that's done, I'm then going to take my walled piece of white card and I'm going to stick that down. I'm going to center it on our patterned paper. Then I'm going to take my sentiment and I'm going to put down the new part with some liquid glue. And I have my home and my little house set in place there. I haven't stuck them down yet because I want to be sure of my placement. So I've taken the little house sticker and I've stuck that down. And I have cut off the little fence that was there on the right hand side of my house because I want it to be on the left hand side. And I've used a white gel pen to cover up the little marks that was left on the right hand side of the little house. And I've stuck down my ephemera house. And I'm not happy with the bird, so I'm not going to put that there. But what I'm going to do is use this lovely teal green heart, stick that down just above the home. And I've punched out some teeny tiny hearts. I have a heart punch in my stash and I've punched it out of some of the pattern paper scraps. So I'm going to pick up that kind of a mustard color that's on the card front on the houses by using those little mustard coloured hearts, sticking them down with liquid glue, and then I'm going to use some of my Glossy Accents over the hearts so it gives them the appearance of a sticker. I'm going to take my Glossy Accents and put that over the windows or anything glass on my little houses. And once that's done, that's that card. I'm going to stamp the inside, and you'll see that in the images that I have here. Card number 7 is a floral card, and I'm using a scalloped 5x7 card base for this card. I have 2 panels. One is this patterned paper, and it's from the large 12x12 sheet. This piece measures 4.5 by 6.5, and I am going to round off the corners using my corner punch. And once I've that done, then I'm going to put some peel-offs on it, and I've used a thick peel-off and a skinny peel-off, and that I've put the 2 of those there onto the left hand side, and I came in about 1/2 inch, so that panel will sit on there like that. Then I have this white panel, and this white panel I've put some of the flower stickers on, as well as the flower ephemera and 2 of the sticker words. This panel measures 3.5 by 5.5. And again, I've taken my corner punch and I've rounded off the edges, as well as putting a thick peel off and a thin peel off to the left hand side. I have this 4.5 by 1 inch piece of patterned paper with again 2 of the peel offs. I've used a thick peel off and a thin peel off, and I'm going to put that so that the peel offs are to the bottom of the card. So let's speed up the video now and assemble our card, and I'm going to put my strip of patterned paper on the inside. I'm going to do that first. That way when I put some Glossy Accents on the front of our card, I won't be worried about it all spilling over. I'm going to use some liquid glue to adhere my large panel, my floral panel, to my card base. And once I have that centered on the card, then I can put this little panel on top. Now this panel, I haven't raised it up using foam tape, I've just stuck it down using my liquid glue. So I have some of the ephemera pieces, and they're stuck down using some foam tape. So the one on the top there, as well as the 2 flowers in the middle, they're stuck down using some foam tape. The only other piece of foam tape I used is on the word loved, and that I'm sticking down now, and I'm going to put that over our little sticker, our flower stickers there to the bottom. I'm going to take my Spectrum Noir pen and I'm going to put some sparkle around our flowers, and then I'm going to use my Glossy Accents, and again where there's highlights on the flowers themselves, I'm going to use the Glossy Accents across that. I'm going to fill in some of the centers and some of the teeny little flowers and the little berries that's on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put random little dots of my Glossy Accents around the card, like what you would do if you had Nuvo drops. And this is just to give it dimension on the front of the card. And that is that card. Very easy and simple and straightforward. Here's some images of the card we've made. Card number 8. I'm going to be using some stickers from the sticker pack, not the bow I'm pointing at, but the little motorbike down below it. I'm going to use some ribbon, and that's the cerise pink ribbon. I have a card base. This card base is a ready-made card base, and it's a 5x7 ready-made card base, but you can make one yourselves by cutting out a piece of card measuring 10x7 and scoring at 5. I've taken this pink panelled piece of paper and I've put it through my embossing folder, and it happens to be a heart embossing folder, and this panel measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. On top of that, I'm going to put this oval die cut. Now this piece measures 4 inches wide, a little over 4 inches wide, and it's just over 5 inches long. But you can die cut out an oval to measure, you know, for your card exactly what you need. But that's the measurements of my piece there. And I'm going to stick that onto my card base, and I'm going to stick it down using liquid adhesive. The sentiment I'm using is "You are simply amazing" from the stamp set in the kit, and I fussy cut that out, and I will be propping that up on the card using some foam tape. So that's basically what I'm using, short for some stickers, sequins and a die cut butterfly. Let's speed everything up now and assemble our card. First thing I'm going to do is put some foam tape on the back of my sentiment, and this is a lovely sentiment. "You are simply amazing." And I really enjoyed fussy cutting this out. I wanted to kind of pop it up and, you know, emphasize this sentiment. I'm going to stick down my embossed panel, and I'm going to use some liquid glue for this, and I have my Nuvo glue here. I'm going to put that down on my card base and try and center that so I have a nice even border all the way around. I'm going to stick some of that lovely ribbon across the bottom of my oval die cut, and unfortunately I was just out of shot there of my video. I got distracted, the dogs came in, I let them out for a whittles, and yeah, that's the story I'm sticking to. Anyway, I have my ribbon down. I've put some double-sided tape behind that because I want to make sure this panel is going to stick down to my embossed pink panel that's on the card. Now, I debated what I'm going to put on my little panel here, and I was thinking of my daughter Alicia over in the Netherlands, and it made me think of the little motorbike, so that's why I went for that. I have my sentiment above it over towards the left. The bike is down at the bottom towards the right, and I'm going to make up a little bow. I find these skinny ribbons can be harder to make bows than the wider ribbons. They're harder to make them look, you know, balanced or, you know, with a bit of body on them. But I eventually got this one to the way I liked it and stuck it down using my hot glue gun. I have another one of the little butterflies which I have die cut out, and it's off to the side there, and I'm going to put it just above our lovely sentiment. I'm using the Nuvo glue, and I've put a couple of drops of that around the card, and then I'm going to put on some of the sequins, and I'm going to use all the colors of the sequins that's in the bowl because they'll all match what's going on in the front. So I've got some of the gold ones, the neutral cream colored ones or iridescent ones. I have the pink and I have the green. So I'm going to pop them around the card. I'm going to take some of my glossy accents and fill them. I'm also going to put some glossy accents on the tires of my bike, on the flowers, on the handles, as well as across the body of the butterfly. And once I have that done, that's that card. So here's some images of the card we've made. Card number 9 is a Z-fold card, and I have everything here ready. I'm using my 5x7 card bases, but I'm going to score it at 2.5, and that'll give us our Z-fold card. So it's scored at 2.5, and then it's got a score line at 5. I have this white piece of cardstock, and this panel measures 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. It's going to sit on the front just like that. Sorry I'm out of shot there a little bit, but I will move it up and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I have 2 of these patterned pieces of paper, and they're 2 1/8 by 6.5. And they're going to sit on our front little panel there on the Z fold part and on this inside piece here. Lovely. So there we are now, you can see it better. So our 2 panels of pattern paper will sit there like this. This strip of paper, pattern paper, measures 4.5 by 1, and that's going to sit across the bottom, just like that. And then we'll have our panel, our white panel, which we're going to use some of the ephemera flowers, etc. We're going to put that on there. That will sit nicely on the front of our card, just like that. So I'm going to take some of the flowers and this fabulous sentiment, which is got fabulous gold writing on the front, and I'm going to fussy around with the flowers and decide where I'm going to put them. But let's speed up our video now and assemble our card. So first of all, I'm going to adhere my strip of pattern paper to what is essentially the inside bottom of our card. Then I'm going to put my panels on to the Z-fold part, and I'm going to use the liquid glue to adhere those down. Now they're all down and nicely secured. I'm going to take my white die cut panel, and I'm only going to put some liquid glue onto the side that's going to stick down to the Z-fold part. So the left hand side is where my glue is going to be, because the right hand side is going to be free floating on our card. Once I've that adhered down, I'm then going to take my 2 ephemera panels and I'm going to put some foam tape behind those. I'm going to make sure and get behind the little leaves and everything that are sticking out, because I don't want them to be, you know, pushed down when they go in the envelope. So I'll take off the release paper and then I'll put the bigger spray of flowers to the bottom and the smaller spray there to the top right. Now I have my fabulous, and I've put a double layer of foam tape on this because I want it to stand above the flowers, and they have got 1 layer of foam tape on them. So I just need to put 1 layer of foam tape underneath the L in the fabulous. Now I'm going to take some of the stickers, and these are lovely little flower stickers. And then one of them I'm going to put on the inside to the top left, just to embellish the inside a little bit more and tie all those flowers together. I have a sticker sentiment and I've put that onto the inside. And then I'm taking 2 more little sticker sentiments and I'm going to put them on our die cut panel there on the front. One says doing good and the other says beautiful. So it'll read fabulous, doing good, beautiful. And then inside, the sticker that I have used has strong, beautiful and enough on it. So I'm going to put down some sequins now around the card, and I'm going to use the gold and the iridescent and the pink sequins. I'm going to fill them with some glossy accents, and then I'm going to put some little dots of glossy accents in little I'm going to bunch the glossy accents that I put on in little drops of trees or threes. So there'll be 3 little drops of the glossy accents here and there around the card. Gosh, that was so hard to say. Okay, so with that done, that is card number 9 finished. Here's a couple of images of the Z-fold card that we've made. And finally, we're on card number 10. This is a swing fold card and it's a 5 by 7 card. I've used a cut apart with the home is where the hearth is on the front of this card. I've used one of the ephemera houses on the inside. I've used the little banner ephemera with the bird there on the top. I've used one of the stickers, and I've also used some Sentiments from My Stash. I've used some Spectrum Noir on the house on the front, and I've used some Glossy Accents on the house on the outside. You can see I've lost footage for this swing fold card, but I'll put a link to a tutorial down in the description. So here's an image of our final 10th card. I hope you've enjoyed my video with the picture frame as well as our 10 cards. I'll leave you with an image of all the cards we've made. If you've enjoyed my tutorial, please click on the like button. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing, and if not, you might consider hitting the subscribe button and clicking the bell so you'll be notified when I make more videos. Thank you for watching my video, and until next time, bye for now.